All right. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. I just realized this. I changed that because we don't do the ask the voice chat because no one used it. Post it in chat. There we go. How's that? All right. So, how's everybody doing today? I think we'll kick off the stream by going over some stuff we got rolling and rocking and rolling here. So, as you guys know, we've got a printer farm here, and one of the things we did was I actually got a bunch of stuff set up to tie all of our Octoprint instances together. So we have an Octoprint set up on each machine, and that can get a little hairy to manage in terms of trying to keep track of everything. So I'm trying to find, there we go, there's the live chat. I got you soon, George. I have like 75% of the video shot for the Sidewinder, and I'll show you guys here. I just got to finish doing that. I completed a resin printer project here this weekend, but as you can see here, it's still in manual focus mode because I was recording the video. So got everything all routed, got this portion done to up to the point where it goes into the control box, and then it's pretty straightforward after there. So there will be a video coming out showing all the steps because the Sidewinder is such a different animal when it comes to installing the kit. Just like the Ender 5 Plus, where it needs an LCD conversion, and the CR10S Pro, where it needs jumpers and other stuff. So anytime there's a machine like this where it's kind of a more involved installation process, we will do a video for that specific machine. Most of your machines like the Ender 3, the CR10s, those are pretty straightforward in terms of how they work. You mount the sensor, route the wires, and they have standard connections. This is a little bit more involved. It's not hard, it's just doing the steps correctly so everything comes together. But one thing I want to show you guys is something I'm really just proud that we got working and set up, and shout out to the OctoFarm team too. So this program is called OctoFarm, and this gives us an at-a-glance view of what our machines are doing. So you can see these are all the printers right now in real time that are currently running print jobs and what files they're actually printing. So you can see, I can see all the machines that are running. It also has a history too to tell me what machine did what job. That kind of stuff. What our completed rate is, our canceled rate, failed rate. So we just started doing this and getting this set up again. We did set it up at one point, but Octoprint did updates. I fell behind on the updates for the Octoprint or OctoFarm software version, so I just nuked it and started over. So we're trying to get all our printers online with like all the cameras and stuff. You can see there's some that don't have their cameras working, or they're not mounted, or they're out of focus. So we're actually going through all the machines and making sure they're all in focus, making sure they're all pointed at the correct direction, and that they're actually working. So you can see a bunch of machines here. These are all their machines that are running. There's a couple in my office here, like you can see right here. This one's in my office. This is my KP3. This is running off some Ender 3 V2 OEM mounts for the Easy ABL. This is my Ender 3 that's also running those off. So we got a bunch of machines doing parts. Here's my my AM8 that's enclosed. This is doing ABS brackets. So this allows us to see now at a glance like what's actually going on. And there's a current operations page here, and you can see the total, all the operations that are running right now are about 15% complete. But I can also see what machines are furthest along, what their estimated ETA is. You can see there, this counts down. I have an update every 2 seconds or so. But as you guys all know, ETAs don't really mean too much. It's just a suggestion. And then there's also the camera panels here where you can full screen them on whatever machine. You see like this one needs to have the camera mounted. So this is how we manage our farm. This one here, you can see here, This one's right here to my left. And this one's also still running off parts. So this is really cool software. It's all open source. It's all free. It allows us to effectively manage our print farm and keep an eye on things. And this is running just on a virtual machine running Windows 10. So nothing special. Let's go through chat. I saw George's. Faded Soul said the Easy Board was one of the easiest and seamless mods. Connected to Cure right away with no issues, and the compiler site was easy peasy. I'm glad you liked it, man. I just heard a weird noise. You guys ever hear like a weird noise from your printer and you're like, what the hell is that? How's the ABL going to work on the CR10 belt? If you think about it, you don't have to level it. It's just that one line. So you're not going to need a bed leveling system on a belt type printer. George, did I get my S3D issue resolved? They have not. Let me pull up my email and see here. Let me switch back here to ask Tim. Let me pull up my account. Oh, this is great. So, here, I'll show you guys right now. Show you right now. This is my S3D account. Okay. So I'll even log out. Let me try logging back in. Maybe that's it. Welcome back. Look at that. No licenses. Can't download any of the software. Like, what the fuck? Like, let me, I mean, it's insane. We emailed them on Thursday. I emailed them on Friday. I emailed them on Saturday. This is not like I'm asking for tech support. I'm asking for them to fix their damn system so I can use the software I fucking paid for. And I took screenshots just in case anybody's like, you didn't buy Simplite 3D, you pirated it. One, I'm not that stupid. And two, here we go. Screenshots. Here's one receipt, okay, from 2020. Now, I do want to point out, I blurred out the personal information. Here's one receipt, two receipts. So, March 26, 2020. Here's for one license. April 8th, 2018. There's another license. And January 7th, 2017. Here's another license. I have bought 3 licenses so I can have a total of 6 installations on this same account. So I've spent $550. Wait, no, $450. I can't math apparently. $450, and this company can't even fucking email me back. So what am I supposed to do? Like, the only way, so let's say my Simplify 3D on my computer that I use to slice every single day stops working. I'm literally going to have to find the pirated version of it just so I can use software I paid for. Like, the reason we found this out that this issue was on our account is one of our workstations in the print farm, the login timed out because it hadn't been used in a while. It was a computer we hadn't used for many months. We ran it. I entered my sign-in information. I was like, okay, I've got an install on my desktop here, an install on my laptop. Aaron's got one on his desktop and laptop, and there's no other active ones that we use. So that's 4 installations. As you guys saw, I bought 3 licenses. Each license entitles you to 2 installations. Okay? So we have 4. We're using 4 of that 6. So I should have 2 more logins or 2 more installations that I can activate on a computer. So, I have software that we spent a decent amount of money on. I think $450 is a decent amount of money. That once, like, my S3D logs out on my computer here, or just stops communicating or checks in with the server because their server's messed up, I can't reactivate it. So, like, what's the legality of if you own the software, but you have to download a pirated version to use the software that you paid for? That, like, is that legal? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, if I have the receipts to prove that we own it, I also have now this video, and also our emails and our tweets saying that we couldn't log in and use the software we bought because of their server issues. Like, would we be at a point where, like, we'd be legally fine? Like, we have to do what we have to do. Like, I got a fucking business to run. I got people that need to slice stuff. And while I am looking at other slices, I installed Idea Maker. I don't have time right now to completely change our workflow. If we change slicers, now I have to retrain myself and Aaron and Joel and all the other guys that use the computers here to slice stuff. Now I have to teach them how to use a whole new different piece of software. And that's going to throw a wrench in our plans. Like, the reality is, this is a Simplify 3D is a part of our workflow, and when the slicer, like the slicer itself, I have no complaints about it slicing things. It does a great job. I get good prints out of it. You know, I just want to go about my life. But when I've paid a company for software and they can't get back to me, it's now, like, let's exclude the weekend. They had Thursday and Friday, no autoresponder from their support email. Like, we have autoresponders set up. So if you email us, you get a confirmation that we received your ticket. I've received nothing. I've submitted it through their site. I've submitted it directly by emailing support@simplify3d.com. I've sent them messages on Twitter. They've not responded on Twitter. So as of this point right now, I like Simplify 3D. It slices. It is a slicer that works, but the company itself is garbage. The company itself. People have been telling me, I guess this is a Tim rants. Let's do that. I should have like a little thing that slides in, Tim rant. You know, just like a little transition. Just. But I can't recommend it anymore. I can't recommend people spend their hard-earned money on software when the company doesn't even back it up. Like, we are a business, okay? If I don't have software, like right now, Aaron or I have to stop what we're doing and slice stuff in order to get jobs to our print farm. Meaning I can't have a guy that we pay that helps us run the print farm, slice jobs, and use it. So, how hard is it to fix it? Like I'm just going to say it. If they don't fix this by the end of the week, I'm going to have to pirate it because I'm tired of interrupting my company because they don't have their stuff together. I'm going to find a crack that doesn't require me to log in and authenticate with their server so I can use software that we have legally purchased because this company refuses to actually give me a, hey, we're working on it. I don't have anything from them. You know, like communication, like one thing we've learned is that people don't always expect an instant result. Some people do, but if you communicate with your customers and tell them, hey, we need a little time to work on this. We're working on it. We'll update you later. That I'd be happy with that for now, okay? Because like I said, but what I'm worried about right now is what happens if my license deactivates? Like, what if it hits, I don't know if they have a checkpoint where it's got to ping their server every now and then to refresh that token. So what is that? Like, I'm going to have to find a crack so I can use the software I pay for. Like, I don't know. Like, it's insane. So I don't recommend that you pirate it unless you have a license. Unless you're if you're in a situation like me and you can't use the software you purchased, then do what you got to do. Especially if you're a business. But at this point, I'm not going to recommend people buy it. Like I said, as a slicer, it works great. But the company that's behind the software, they're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And that's all I have to say. So it's a shame because I like the software. The company behind it is terrible. Like, I don't understand why you can't just be like, hey, we'll have someone look into it. There's nothing. I'm checking my email again right now. That'd be funny if they actually replied. But I checked this morning. I had nothing from them in my inbox. Nothing in my spam. Nothing in my junk. So there's none of that. Oh, did it go to junk? Nope. Let's see. In my junk, I got a LinkedIn notice. I got Comcast spam. That's it. I got 2 things in here. Like, I'm not going to advocate people pirate it, but in this case where I have software I paid for, and the only way I can use the software I paid for is to download a pirated copy, you got to make a concession there. So, like, I don't know. I feel like that wouldn't hold up in court if, like, for some reason they try to come after me for pirating software that I bought because I can't use it because they don't know how to run a damn server that handles the licensing. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, I'm looking. There's nothing. I have nothing in here from them at all. Let me check my other email. We have a shared mailbox, which their stuff shouldn't be going to. Nothing there. Nope, I got nothing. I got nothing from Simplified 3D. I mean, if they go out of business, then everybody can pirate and just use the older version. Like, it's out there. I know I have, I'm not going to name them, but I know I have friends that pirate it because they're cheap. I bought it before TH3D was even a thing. I've had an S3D license since January 2017. That was like when I was 2 months into 3D printing. Because there was a guy I knew told me to buy it. I wasn't having a good time with Kira. Like, anyways, yeah, I'm gonna be done. I'm a little pissed off. Thanks for bringing it up there, George. Anyways, let's see. Morgan James says, make sure you CYA. Well, I think having receipts for that and not using more licenses than we pay for will be fine. If we have to. We did tag them on Twitter. Let's see. Unreal Scenic says, hi Tim, good to see you. Well, what kind of opinions, I'm assuming you meant options. What type of options do you like to use in Marlin, like linear advance, S-curve, classic drag, etc.? I've dabbled with a linear advance. I didn't see a huge difference with it on versus off, so I don't have it on many of my machines. I've done testing with it to make sure firmware works correctly with it, but I don't actually use it in production. We prefer classic jerk. The S-curve acceleration is experimental, so I have had weird issues where, like, when the printer's moving, like, almost all the way across the bed, it kind of, like, surges. So I don't use that. And then we don't use junction deviation, which is an alternative to jerk, or classic jerk. I use classic jerk. That's what's on our firmware. So basically, like, all the options you guys see in the firmware are what I use. I use the same exact firmware on my machines here that that you guys use. So whatever you see in there, like, I don't customize our firmware change options for my likes. You know, I use the same stuff we put out, and I'd like to think it's pretty well configured. Like, the options you need are there, and it just works. So, do you guys have any other? Hey, come on, post some questions here. It's supposed to be, you guys are supposed to be asking me. The only reason I start talking about things is because no one's asking questions. I would much rather, I can talk forever, but I'd rather you guys ask questions about 3D printing. It doesn't have to be about, like I said, it doesn't have to be about our products. It doesn't have to be about anything specific to TH3D. If you got a question about your printer, about an upgrade, about a mod, like, you know, looking for a recommendation on something, that's what these are for. So if you're looking for something and looking for input, let me know. I also haven't had much caffeine today, so I'm probably going to yawn a couple times. I feel it coming. Thoughts on power loss recovery? Assuming you're talking about the feature in Marlin, I don't like it because it wears down the SD card. Oh, look at Llama trying to fit in with the kids. it causes premature wear on your SD card. A lot of SD cards, especially cheap ones, are not designed for being written to over and over and over and over and over again. Like, it does wear out, and then you start getting failures. My recommendation, which is what we do here, is don't use the Marlin's power loss recovery. In my experience, it doesn't work all the time either. So sometimes you'll shut it off and it's like, oh, you have a print, you want to resume it, and when it resumes, sometimes it works okay. Other times your printer, because the motor's shut off, lose their position a little bit, and then it doesn't like re-home to the exact location, and your model comes out screwed up anyways. I'd recommend you just get a battery backup. For like, just to give you an example, so like for an Ender 3, we could run 3 Ender 3s off of a 900-ish watt 1500 VA battery backup. We have all of the printers here and all electronic equipment, this computer, our network switches, everything's on battery backups. So, and depending on what print surface you're using too, if your power goes out for an extended period of time that the battery backup wouldn't be able to get you through, your print bed's going to cool down anyways, and the part might release. So at that point, it's kind of a moot point. That's just my opinion on it. Morgan's got one about switching out nozzles. Top Hat Waffle, Subway or Jimmy John's? Jimmy John's all the way. Llama said, question, are you sus? He knows all the kids are talking these days about Among Us, and he wants to fit in. If you were right here, I'd give you a little pat on the head. Nice try there, Llama. Let's see. Whenever I pull a nozzle out, the heat block rotates. If I rotate the block back and make sure the nozzle is tight, then I shouldn't have to worry about it leaking, right? Your heat block should not rotate. You should be holding it with a set of pliers. There is a video showing how to do that. I might have pliers and a heater block to show you. I do. So, this isn't any cubic hot end, but this is similar to ours. Yeah, I'm just going to do it right here. So, you see on the hot end, you've got the wires that come out the one side. You don't want to go like this because you're going to hit the wires. You want to go on the sides like this, and if you notice, see how the pliers are not flat? Most pliers have a little option where you put it to the next hole and it makes them bigger. So, what I always do is I'll come in, grab it on the sides that don't have the wires coming out, and then you can still get a socket in here to get to the nozzle. And you want to do this quick, because if you hold this on here for too long, all the heat is going to go from the block into the pliers and drop the temperature, and then you're going to get thermal runaway. But if you hold it like this at an angle while it's heated, so you're basically going to heat it up, let it sit there for a bit, grab it, and then really quickly get that nozzle out and hold this. And then when you put the new nozzle in, again, grab it and then thread it back in and then let it go. Now, if you trip thermal runaway, just restart the printer and heat it back up. But on blocks like this, or hot-ends like this, where they have just the heat break, there's no screws going up into it like Creality does. You just hold the heater block with a set of pliers, work quickly, and move on. So I always do ours at 240 degrees Celsius. If you have it all metal, you can go higher, like 260. But I usually do everything at 240. Dr. Jekyll, what's the biggest breakthrough or innovation in 3D printing you've seen in the next 5 years? I feel like I've had people ask me this before, and I still think it's going to be software. You know, we are moving to 32-bit boards, but I think we're going to see more and more optimizations with software. Like we were just talking about slicers. S3D used to be the best, but because the company just doesn't know how to run itself, there's all these free options that are better. So, which is why I'm looking for other ones, because I'm not upgrading. I'm done. So, I think it's going to be on the software side. Maybe we'll see some new stuff come out on the firmware side of things. Marlin's always getting new stuff. Marlin's always working on new things. And I think with the 32-bit processor, since those are becoming more of the norm now, and we have more horsepower available to us, we're going to see cooler stuff. There's the yawn. I'm sorry, everybody. I swear I'm not bored. I just didn't get much sleep last night. Off Kilter FPV says, got the EasyABL installed, the part cooling. I'm wondering what other mods you've done to yours. The King Room KP3. So I basically have the same thing. So I changed out the PTFE to our Tough Tube. Mine's running right now. It's actually been a great. It's been a reliable little machine. I'm a fan. But I put the 5015 layer fan on and the EasyABL sensor, and then I took the springs out and put in just I found little like nylon washers that are, I don't know, about 10 millimeters tall. And that way I don't have springs. And then I also put our Easy Flex on there. But we discontinued the 180 by 180 because they weren't selling. The King Run people were not buying them. So we discontinued those. But I have it on mine. I love it. Maybe I don't know if I'm going to reorder. We just ordered a bunch of flex plates. But they just weren't a big seller. We had a bunch of them. We sat on them for a while, and then we clearanced them out, and they sold like crazy. But we clearanced them out below cost. So, you know, if they sell, but I lose money on it, why would I keep carrying them? You know, and I get it. Like they're not super cheap. Like our flex plates are cheaper than a lot of other brands. But like it's also a cheap printer. So I think the people that have that printer are going to be people that don't have enough, you know, don't have as much extra money around. I'm sure there's also a good amount of people like me who just bought it because, hey, it's a cheap printer and I like screwing around with cheap printers. Or small printers. I like the small printers. Let's see here. Waffles asks, how difficult is it to put an EasyABL on the Anycubic Mega S? Well, I have one, so I'll let you know. I also, after the Sidewinder is done, the i3 Mega, not the S, the original one, is going to be going up here. And I think that'll parlay into the Mega S. So, but if that, I think the Mega S has a touchscreen, so if it's the same one that's on the i3 Mega, then it's going to have to get the old 12864 treatment. Your next says he's having issues with his end stops on his Chiron, but didn't provide any actual information. So if you can provide that, I'd be glad to see if I can offer any insight, but without any actual details, I can't really help you. Bill Marsh says Diabase Flexion Rep 2 on a CR10S Pro V2. Can it be done? As with any printer, you can put any part on any printer for the most part. It's just how much work are you willing to put into it. Do they have a mount for it? Did somebody else make a mount for it? Are you going to have to make a mount for it? I'm not familiar with that one. Diabase. Why does that name... It doesn't even sound familiar. Is that... I've heard of Flexion. Oh, Diabase is the brand name. Okay, Flexion is their... I've heard of the Flexion extruder. I don't know who was actually using those. Everybody seems to be going Bondtech or E3D. Look at Transa. Have you seen ABL related issues with the Creality D-Win screen for the Ender 3 V2? I haven't. I have to put R3 V2 into the farm, but doing the testing, I didn't have any issues. I just ran prints like normally. My only complaint is there was no, baby stepping adjustment, really. But because the Z offset and the baby stepping are integrated on the firmware, adjusting the Z offset will also do baby stepping. So that was a little workaround. Mr. Kari is thinking about buying an SKR. If you want a board that is cheap but has virtually no support and is only going to last a couple months, then you have to replace it again. Then go ahead and buy an SKR, get the V2. The V2, they actually fixed a lot of things. But if you want something that's actually reliable and comes from a company that actually supports it, we have our Easy Board. It's more expensive, but the quality's better. Has a 6-month warranty from a US company, and it actually means something. I may be biased, but I'm sure there's people in chat that have had both our board and the SKR and went from the SKR to our Easy board. We get a lot of emails from people saying, yeah, I bought the SKR E3 and it died after, 4 or 5 months, and, I couldn't get any warranty, couldn't get any help, or died in a couple months and couldn't get a warranty, or they were on like their second one and they said, screw it, and finally bought ours. If you think about it, if you're having people that have SKR boards that are only lasting a couple months and they can't get it warranted, and you're buying another one, or God forbid you buy a third one, you're already at the price of what our board would have cost. You're actually more than. And that's completely ignoring any time you spent. Sean says, Unreal Science Scenic says, cheers, Tim. Have you had a look at Arc Welder and Octoprint? I saw that update announcement come through. It's interesting. I have not played with it yet, but it is something I want to take a peek at because I do like the idea of it. Basically, what Arc Welder does in Octoprint is it analyzes your G-code file. Instead of having a million different little moves for a curve, it simplifies them out so there's not as many, and should help your prints not have like slowdowns with like the serial issue or the bottlenecking. Sean says he's getting banding intermittently on his prints. It's not always there. Posted pictures in the TH3 Facebook group today. I've learned PID bed fixes the issue. So it could fix the issue if your bed's flexing that much. Bang Bang control is what we use on our firmware by default. Someone also posted in our forum about it. If you search PID bed in our forum, there's another one. And I posted the option to enable PID bed. Now, the reason we don't enable PID bed by default is, one, we have our Bang Bang loop, and what Bang Bang regulation is versus PID is it's a much simpler. Are we at temp? Yes. Okay, don't do anything. Are we not at temp? Oh, okay, turn it on. And it checks that at a certain interval. At our firmware, it checks every half a second to see if it needs to tell the bed to heat or not, or turn it off or not. So for most machines, that 500 milliseconds is fine. The problem with enabling PID on your bed is that you have to tune it, and not a lot of people know how to do a PID tune. Now, the problem is if you don't have a proper tune, and every machine is going to be different, especially every model, your bed will take forever to heat up. So the reason we don't have PID bed enabled by default is, one, we have that half-second loop for the Bang Bang regulation, which keeps it within 1 degree. And two, when we had PID bed enabled, people complained that it took longer to heat their bed up. And it's because they didn't tune the bed. So we got tired of telling people to tune their bed and then complaining and not wanting to do it, so we just disabled it. I don't have any issues on our machines running the Bang Bang instead of the PID. If your bed's within 1 degree, it's not that big of a deal. And even your hot end, if your hot end's within 1 degree of your target temperature, not that big of a deal. But when you have a longer interval where that Bang Bang regulation is checking the temp, if it needs to tell it to heat or stop heating, you could get where the bed is moving just enough, just like moving just a little bit as it cycles, to where you could get banding. So it's not an electrical thing, it's a physical thing where some beds, when the heat's applied, they shrink and cool, or they shrink and expand. So yeah. I haven't tested Unified 2 with, I know the Constantinol was asking about the power resume or power loss recovery in Marlin. Honestly, it's not in there because I forgot to put it in, and it takes up a lot of space, so it's something I have to come back to and test to see if it actually will compile on all the boards, because that's another thing. It takes up a lot of space, and it could cause other issues because it does increase RAM usage, increase storage usage. So not many people use it. We don't recommend you use it. Now, the source code is provided, so if you want to go ahead and try and turn it on, you can. But it's not something we've qualified. It's not something we particularly recommend, because I also don't want to be getting emails complaining about how your firmware killed my SD card. Because stuff like that actually happens. Some of you guys would be like, no one's going to do that. Oh, trust me, they will. Tips on a start. If you have about 300, I'm just gonna say right now. If you got about, someone asked, did the whole best printer under X. If you're around the $300 mark, just buy an Ender 3 and do some upgrades to it. That's about it. Jim apparently had issues with his SKR. Morgan James says, with the unified firmware 2 on SKR Mini V2, how do you run the filament sensor? I haven't set up a filament sensor on those boards. Basically, what's in that firmware is what has been tested. Anything outside of that hasn't been tested. Oh, wait, I'm way too far up. Wait, am I? No, I think people are posting the same thing. Hang on. Wait. What is going on with chat? Hang on. I got, like, lost here, apparently. Neil says, will the stock bed leveling sensor from Creality work with the easy ABL settings in the firmware? What machine are you referring to? In terms of, if you're talking about their knockoff of the easy ABL, no, it's a completely different logic. It will not work without modifying the source code, which I'm not going to tell you how to modify source code to use a product that was copied off ours. But if you're talking about like the CR10S Pro, that had the same style, an 18mm proximity probe. If you don't define the easy ABL settings, then there's an option for that machine, because the CR10S Pro is the only one I'm aware of, the version 1, that had that 18mm probe, and there's an option in the firmware to tell it what probe you have, whether it's the stock one or ours. I feel like chat like jumped, and I'm like feeling like I'm rereading stuff, because here's, okay, never mind, because someone else asked about the CR30 and ABL, and I already replied to that you're not going to need ABL on a CR30. Yeah, why did you post that twice? That's what threw me off, because I was like, wait, I already read that. Okay. Already answered that. Answered Doug's question here. There's end stops, flexion, SKR, arc welder, PID bed. That was the power thing. Here we go. Here's where we are. Okay, I'm back on track here. Sorry about that. I have a question. How much torque do you need for comfortable printing at normal speeds? I mean, for each axis and for geared extruder. It's not really something I can quantify. The torque is determined by your motor, your stepping rate of your driver, and how much current you're putting towards it. In general, the motors that come with your printers will provide more than enough torque to print at normal speeds. Like, by normal, I mean in the 40, or you can go as slow as you want, but up to like 80 millimeters a second. For a geared extruder versus a normal extruder, you can get away with a lower torque motor like a pancake stepper for a geared extruder, because it has that gearing to give it more grunt. But it really depends. The reality is most NEMA 17 motors that you get from parts suppliers that sell for 3D printers are going to work on most machines, unless you have a really heavy setup that's not standard. I can't remember the last time I had a lost step on any machine that we have here, because all the VREFs are all set correctly. Yeah. Morgan, you just need to hold the heater block. He says it manages to rotate no matter how much I hold it. You need to hold the block. If you're holding the block, there's no way that it could rotate in the wrench. Use a set of pliers, not a wrench. Use pliers so you can hold on to it. All right, we're back on track here. I just ordered an Ender 3 and was wondering, do all of them come with press fit pulleys? Can't find it anywhere. Some do, some don't. We have a mixture of both. I think the press fit ones are what they're shipping with now. We have both. I feel like the ones we got that are older, those had the ones with the set screw, and the newer ones had the press fits. And he also asked, any tips for a new 3D printer order? Don't modify it until you've suffered with it stock through at least 3 weeks. I recommend a month. Don't go crazy. If you're going to do upgrades, do it one at a time. Do one upgrade and make sure everything works. Use it for a little bit, then do the next one. Until you're at a point where you built a ton of machines. Like, I can take a machine, strip it down, put a ton of upgrades on it, and it worked because I've done it a million times. But if you don't have that experience, you're new. The problem is you get on these Facebook groups, you get on these forums, and people will tell you, do this, this, and that, buy this board, buy that upgrade, buy, change the power supply, change the wiring, do all this stuff. No. Do one thing at a time and actually ask yourself, what do you actually want to accomplish by doing the upgrades? Because what works as an upgrade and gives a benefit to one person might not apply to you, and you could just be throwing your money away. So, yeah. Let's see. You're next. I think I'm having deja vu because I think you asked I think it was either on the forum or maybe in a previous stream about you're changing out the stock board on the Chiron to the SKR-04. Like I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but if you can't figure out all the wiring on your own, I would not be doing that upgrade, especially on that printer, because they have such a non-standard way of connecting everything. You're probably going to fry something. So you can educate yourself on how it is. I don't even have all the schematics and stuff for that machine, so you're literally going to have to take a multimeter, probe everything out, and document where everything goes. Otherwise, you're probably going to fry something. The stock board in the Chiron is not a bad board. Certain machines where it's more involved, like they use proprietary connectors and all this other stuff, I just put the stock board back in. And the stock board on the Anycubics are not bad. They're decent. Their Tri-Gorilla boards are actually pretty decent. Let's see here. Jim Seller said if you want a cheap quality printer, the Prusa Mini. Except I've been hearing a lot of things with the extruders and the hot ends having problems on those. I've heard it from like 6 people over the last 2 weeks that have had nothing but issues with them. So I would still recommend the Ender 3 if you're more handy. If you need that hand holding and technical support, then yeah, go with the Prusa, because you're gonna get better customer service from a Prusa. But if you're more of the tinkering type, or you're handy and can figure stuff out and want to DIY, then you can go ahead and build out Ender 3 and also have more flexibility. Like the Prusa, especially if you like to tinker, you can't really do too much to it, which is not a bad thing. So, let's see here. Yeah, your next is asking, so D43 and D42 end stop pins, not sure where they go. Should probe them out, figure out the pinouts on the end stops, and then correlate that to like the voltage signal ground onto the end stops of the board that you're putting in there. So, not many people know this, like, you can theoretically put any board into any printer. Like, I could put the Easy board in a printer that we don't officially support, but that requires me to do all the wiring and then the firmware settings. Which is where a lot of people get hung up. But you're gonna have to do some legwork. You're gonna have to get a multimeter out, start probing things out, figure out what goes where, and then if stuff is not labeled, you're gonna have to look at the circuit board and analyze the circuit to see, okay, what's ground, what's signal, what's positive, assuming it has all those. So, okay, I'm getting some overlap. Is chat like being weird? Because I'm like, I feel like I'm getting repeats in here. Nadav said he gave up on his SKR and switched to MKS S Gen L. I have an SKR 1.4 turbo in my ABS machine. And that, it keeps locking up on me. Like, I'll go to hit the LCD button. It's completely hard locked. I have to hard reset it. And then no matter what I do, no matter what IO pins I use, I get like drift with the ABL system. Like, we're talking about 0.5 millimeter. Now, I never had that issue on the 8-bit board that was in there, so I know it's not the sensor. And the M48 test is all over the place. But I hooked up the 8-bit board again because the issue with the 8-bit board was one of the thermistor ports was bad. But I hooked it back up, ran the M48 test. The M48 test worked perfectly fine. So there's something weird with it. I'm going to be pulling that 1.4 turbo out and putting in the S Gen L V2 because I don't feel like messing around with it. Like, I spent so much time on it already. I have the S Gen L in Barney, which is the purple one right here, and it's been flawless. It's literally, I have no issues with it. So, Jim Sellers asking about the 5-driver board. We're working through as fast as we can on there while not. And I shouldn't say fast. We're not going fast because I don't want to send out a board where we've got 3 revisions in like 6 months, like some companies do. Let's see here. I answered that guy. What the fuck? Wait. Hang on, something just happened. Oh, we had a troll. We had a troll! Don't troll my chat, you'll get banned. And no political shit, this is a 3D printing channel. Like, well, let's see, what else? I'm just going through chat here. Why is chat being so weird today? Like, I'm reading this, and it's like, let me reload this. F5. Can we, there we go. All right, let's see. Look at Rain says, Prusa Mini has Z-axis issues. Auto drop 3Ds here. Dr. Jekyll got him. Yeah, no. Like I said, if you guys want to talk politics, you can hit me up offline. But I don't do it on this channel. This is for 3D printing. I'm tired of all the political shit. So, time and place for everything. This is not the time nor the place. So, let's see here. Okay, I'm going back up. See, I refreshed chat and like there's stuff here that wasn't even displaying. So I don't know what the hell YouTube is smoking today, but anyways, will you guys ever make a Ender 5 Dual Z kit? Probably not. That would be a lot. That'd be pretty involved. There's no plans for it. D. Coffin, any idea what can cause noise from Tough Extruder? Oh wait, hang on. This was on all chat, not live chat. That's why it's messing with me. Or it was on top chat. That's annoying. Llama says, be careful, PID bed can trip thermal runaway on beds that don't heat up fast enough, even after tuning. Yes, that's another reason I don't use PID bed. I apologize, guys. Like, something's weird with chat. I'm trying to, like, read through, and, like, it's duplicating the same thing from multiple people, and I don't know why. Decom says, have you seen grinding issues with the tough extruder? Yes. If the tension is set too high or too low, if it's too high, it can flatten the filament out because it puts that much pressure on it, and then it makes it hard to feed. I've accidentally done that too because I like just wasn't paying attention, tightened it down too much. But the main thing you'll usually see with any extruder, if you get grinding or skipping, is that it's clogging in the hot end. So my Ender 3, I actually just replaced the nozzle on that last week because it got a clog. I couldn't clear the clog, and I was messing with the extruder. I'm looking, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's the nozzle. So I changed the nozzle, and it started printing again. So dude, Chris, if you ask one more time about ABL on belt printers, I'm going to put you in a timeout. I swear to God. I know Niels Visser asked about a sensor, but then didn't give me what printer he was talking about because he said stock sensor and easy ABL. So extrapolating from that, I'm assuming you're talking about like I said, a proximity type probe. And the only machine I'm aware of that Creality made that had that same style probe was the CR10S Pro. So, let's see here. Morgan says he loves his easy ABL. Had a BL touch before, and issues with failed prints breaking the plastic pin. Yes, that's a very real issue. So, Joe from Project R3D, who I've had on this channel a couple times, they have the Dauntless that they're working on, and they had BL touches on them, except now they have the Easy ABL Pro Minis on them because the pins kept fucking up on the BL touches. So we worked out a deal. They only make like, I want to say about 30 or 40 machines a month. But we wholesale the kits to them and they use them on their machines. So, and people have been very happy with them. I mean, obviously I'm very happy with them. I use our own stuff, but it was really cool that like we were able to solve a problem they were having with one of our products. Let's see. People are talking about their Ender 3s and their pulleys. Mr. Corey, that's a great, yeah, like, it's like using Noctua fans because you run it on Reddit. Yes. People have good intentions, but the problem is, you know, you'll get a guy that's like, oh yeah, I put on my printer, but he'll, you know, and it worked on me, you know, for me, so it works, but, you know, he only does shorter prints, or he doesn't print that often, you know, whereas, like, when we qualify stuff, it's on printers we're using all the time. So if we're going to have issues, it's going to show up pretty quickly because we use our machines so heavily here. You know, that's one of the nice things about having the print farm is if there's something new I want to try out, we put it in there and see how it holds up. Because like I said, our Ender 3, we have 12 Ender 3 Pros that are all built out with all of our upgrades on there. Well, not all of them, but the upgrades we need. So like ABL, the Tough Extruder, Tough Tube, etc. To make them reliable for ABS printing. And we'll throw stuff on there, and those run 20 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. So if something's going to break or I want to test something out, it goes on a machine like that that's being heavily utilized all the time. So if it can survive our level of use, then I have no problem recommending it to our customers or selling it to our customers. So, let's see here. Another guy saying the Prusa Mini had issues. He said the mini heat break and extruder are garbage. I have to replace the heat break with the modded Bondtech and get one of the BMG extruders, and it's a solid machine, not plug and play. Yeah, and then that right there is probably bringing that cost of that printer up to about $600. That's what I have into my Ender 3 Pro, which has a bigger print volume and more flexibility with upgrades. That's just my opinion. You know, you guys, it's your guys' money. Do what you will with it. Mike Grissom, is Ender 3 V2 supported by TH3D firmware? Yes, we have firmware offered Ender 3 V2 for the LCD and for the board. Should I do it? Let's see. Should I do a specific video on the Ender 3? I think this is how I do a poll. I could be wrong. Let's see. Oh, wait. Yeah, just post in chat. I always forget the syntax. Hang on, let me scroll back up. Just Top at Waffle. Just looked at Arc Welder. That's a fantastic plugin. Yeah, like I said, it looks pretty cool. Pet Ross in Ohio. Pet G on your Easy Flex. Yes, but put something down on it. Hairspray, PVA glue, or Vision Miner, because Pet G will bond to surfaces, not just PEI and like our Easy Mat surfaces or Build Tack type surfaces, but also bare glass. Pet G is it's a nice material, but in terms of it bonding to stuff, it's rough and it's ruthless. So, David Petzl says, with easy boards, you have to change the steppers VREFs to maximize stepper motion. No, they're all set to what we've actually tested on the machines the board supports. So they should be good. Now, if you want to bump it up a little bit, if you're really flying things around, or if you got a heavy hot end setup, then go ahead and play with it. Just make sure your motors aren't running too hot. So, what's up, John Mack? John Mack hits on me every time. I guess I'm flattered. I'll take it. Neil just got the Easy ABL Pro. Awesome. I hope you enjoy it. I really do. Like I said, the whole thing, and we still do this. Like we started selling stuff is, if I won't use it on my machines, I'm not selling it to our customers. And that still stands true to this day. Every machine here, all the machines that I use in my office, all have our probes on them. Every single one. Even my Ender 5 Plus. I took the BL Touch off and put ours on there. Like, that's, it's I drink my own Kool-Aid is the easiest way to do it, you know. Jack is saying, my Easy ABL is negative 63 on X. It will not probe the right side when it's set to 35 from edge. Will you have an option or firmware to override all the edges? I'm not sure what you mean, but maybe explaining how it works will help you understand. So your printer nozzle cannot go out of bounds, or cannot move the sensor out of bounds of the nozzle in the build size. So let's say your probe's all the way on the left. It has to probe within the bounds, or sorry, what am I trying to say here? Oh yeah, so let's say your probe's mounted on the left, and your printer is physically capable of moving the carriage with the nozzle off the bed on the right-hand side so you can probe on the other side. It's not going to let it do that. The nozzle has to stay within the bounds of what's set in the firmware in terms of the build area. Now, you could expand your build area, but then you could lead to other issues with your machine down the road where things are not working quite right. But that'd be a good question to post in the forum along with your config files and pictures of your setup too. I just lost it. Like chat is going weird again. I like scrolled up and everything changed. So people do want to enter 3 V2 specific one. Okay, I'll put that on my list of videos. Let's see here. Neil says, I have a problem with under extruding with my E3D V6. It starts printing but doesn't extrude after a time. I think it's retraction settings. Go on support.th3dstudio.com. I'll actually just post a link, but we have an article called Using Your All Metal Hot End. and that applies to all metal hot ends, not just ones we sell. But I'm gonna post that here, so check that out. John hits on everyone. I don't feel special now. My mute button on my Yeti is sketchy. Jerry from 3D Printing and Paint asks, do you have an opinion on a good, reasonable CO2 laser? How do you like yours, and where did you buy it from? So I would recommend the K40. Now, the K40 is kind of like the ANET of the laser world, meaning it'll kind of work out of the box, but you're going to have to put some work into it. That's what I have. I paid about $200 for mine, and I got it through a reseller called Orion Motor Tech on Amazon, but that was many years ago, and I got a deal on it. I want to say they're about $400 to $500 right now. I could be wrong. If anybody, I'm not super into the laser world yet. I just have one for doing projects. So I'm sure there's probably people that know more than me in this chat. But the K40 is kind of the standard for your cheap laser cutters. It looks like they have a newer version of this right here. So you've got a little laser aiming. This looks similar to mine. Same kind of housing, just different colors. I've got a red and white one. But I also put a Cohesion 3D board in mine. That's what I'm running. They make a drop-in replacement for the K40s. Let's see. And I have one in mine, and I also put one in my parents' full spectrum laser. So this is what I have in my K40 is the Cohesion 3D laser board. And these, oh, he actually has them on sale because I paid $250 for mine. That's not bad. And it comes with the power supply too. So I have this. I have their Lightburn camera. I got the LCD. Oh, sorry for the yawning. I also have Lightburn too. I use Lightburn for it. And then I also got their rotary too, which I have to play with. But I bought their rotary as well. I don't know why. Oh, you have to click here. So I have this as well, and you can see they actually use 3D printing here. The guy who runs this is Ray Kolodowski, and he's a guy I met through the community. He's a cool guy. So, but he's the one who runs Cohesion 3D. So, but I've got all these little upgrades for it. But I like that it runs standard G code. I like that I can use it with Lightburn. So. Let's see here. Morgan James, if I wanted to print faster, should I consider a Delta, Core XY, or a bigger nozzle? I like Deltas, but they're a pain. If you want a challenge, get a Delta. Deltas can print fast, but I think at this point, if you, like, I get decent quality speeds out of my Ender 3s when they're properly dialed in. And if you ask someone, everyone's going to have a different opinion because they've had different experiences with it. Theoretically, Core XY should be fast, but also I have, I've had my Ender 3 running very fast as well. And adding stuff like a copper nozzle and a geared extruder will help it melt the plastic quicker, because at a certain point, what you're going to have is a restriction of how fast the plastic can actually melt to get through the nozzle. So, I think Aaron's got a row stock he wants to sell. I don't know. I see him in the chat, but I think he's got a row stock. He was talking about selling it. D. Kaufman, your parents' full spectrum laser, that's the brand. It's basically an overpriced K40. with a bigger build area and a little bit better components. But that full spectrum, they paid like $5,000 for it and never used it because the software was so terrible. So we switched the board out, and now it runs the cohesion board, and we can use Lightburn with it. So yeah, so if so Aaron has a Rostock. I think it's a Rostock Max. I think it's the V2 or the V3. I don't know. You can go ahead and harass him if anybody's in the area. You want to Rostock, hit up Aaron. That's his personal. It's his personal machine, so it wouldn't be through the company. But he has one. He was talking about selling it. So shout out to Aaron for selling a Delta. I won't mess with Deltas anymore. I had one, and it was very fiddly. They look really cool though. I really like how they look. Dominic Versetto says solid bed mounts with manual mesh bed leveling. Good idea, bad idea. I mean, you could. There's nothing stopping you from it. I don't see why it wouldn't work. The only thing that would suck is if like your bed gets, skewed or something, you're gonna have to get a new thing. But I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't work. Like, it would be no different than doing it normally with the knobs. So I wouldn't recommend it. Manual mesh bed leveling is nice if you don't have the money to get an ABL sensor, but it's so fiddly and just takes so long. Yeah. Yeah, so Aaron, he's got a Rostock 3.2 with all the upgrades. I know it's a dual color one too. So, but I just realized we are just over the hour mark here. So I want to say thank you to everybody who stopped by. We did the ANET printer the ANET resin printer, which came out good. I'll show you guys. Give you a little behind the scenes peek here. I finally got my resin cabinet all done and organized and enclosed. So if you guys haven't printed with resin before, it has an odor to it. And it's not something you're gonna like smelling. I'm not worried about like the fumes causing harm. It's more the fact that it just smells terrible. So outside my office door, this is my resin cabinet. If you guys notice, if you guys haven't figured out now, I love these shelves. I love these. These are 2 foot deep by 4 foot wide racks. You can get them for about, I don't know, 60 to 80 bucks from like Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. And my buddy actually has a big laser cutter, and he cut me out this panel for the front here. It's a 2 foot by 4 foot panel and a side panel. There's one here, and if you see here, there's a vent hole. There's a 4-inch duct, and this goes up and then vents outside. And this actually shares the same blower and exhaust with my laser cutter, and I just got blast gates to shut it off. So on the bottom here, I've got my 2 Anycubic wash and cure stations, and then this is a frozen mini that I don't know. I'm probably going to be selling it because there's 5 machines here. There's 2 Photon Zeros, a Photon S, the original Photon, and the ANET, and you can see the Benchy's on there. So I am going to be doing more resin stuff now that this is all set up and situated. And you can see right here, I practice what I preach. You see that? That's a battery backup right there. And that's an easy plug. I'm using one of the easy plugs for the lights in here. So, because they not only work for 3D printers, but they also work for home automation stuff. So if you're a home automation nerd, those are going to be great because they're going to come with Tasmota, and you're not going to do all this weird flashing stuff to get it to work. And I think that's it. I don't think I have anything else to show off here or update you guys on. I will give a shout out too, because I saw people asking about this. This is the Ender 3 V2 with our dual Z kit installed. So I did actually do a fitment test and test prints. It does work. The dual Z kit we've had for the Ender 3, and that also fits the CR20, does work 100% with the Ender 3 V2. So if you were wondering about that or didn't even know it existed, it is compatible. So anyways, I do have filters in the garage. I do have air filters, active carbon air filters with HEPA. and it vents all outside. So, but anyways, I think that's about it. I will be doing another stream on Wednesday. I will hopefully not be as tired and lacking caffeine on the next one. So, and I totally forgot to turn my cube on. It's off. I forgot to turn it on. So anyways, appreciate everybody that stopped by. Hope you guys learned something. If you have questions, write them down and throw them in the chat on the next session, which will be on Wednesday, November 4th at 2 p.m. So talk to you guys later. And as always, happy printing. I think I'm going to go take a nap. It sounds good right now.